Hello everyone. The topic today is Charities, Part 3. Question 1. Do you think charities are important? Answer. Yes, I do. It can be easy to see the path to great success as a lonely road. Go-getters typically put in long hours and put their careers first to achieve money and power. However, to my way of thinking, true success is not just about money and power. It is also about well-being. And true nobility lies in being superior to your former self. A key element of well-being and true nobility is giving. Donating to charity or giving to others can reduce the stress that can hinder them from progressing in their careers, as well as making them more sanguine about their lives. From the depths of our compassion, we can free ourselves of all that limits our imagination about what is possible. It's the only way to counteract the excessive greed and narcissism around us. Because if you're not happy, then what does all that work add up to? Besides, when it has become a jokey truism that any celebrity, business person, or entrepreneur wishing to rehabilitate their public profile pledges that they'll do their bit for charity, it reveals the importance and status of charities in our society. That status cannot be taken for granted. For example, Zuckerberg and Chan have already donated hundreds of millions of dollars to various causes, including eradicating the coronavirus. Bill Gates, today's preeminent philanthropist, has also already handed over an unprecedented $35.8 billion to the Gates Foundation. A big slug of this money went toward tackling the health problems of the world's poor and creating equal opportunity for people around the globe. These practices are spreading at a time when the distribution of wealth is getting ever more lopsided, which means the actions of a small number of very rich people can have a bigger impact. And to the best of my knowledge, Japan has long been uneasy about non-profit organizations. It lacks a tradition of private philanthropy. Support for needy is often expected to come from the family. Officials tend to regard NPOs as meddlesome amateurs. But now they are slowly coming to accept NPOs because they must. Tax receipts have been falling for years as the population shrinks. The growing ranks of the elderly are demanding more services. This has led to a flowering of Japanese public interest groups. The government has no other choice but to cut social services and shift responsibility onto the NPOs. In general, philanthropy is, however, only partly about raising funds. What's more important is its capacity to mobilize communities around important issues like civil rights, the role of girls in sports, and drunk driving, for example. I believe real social change will happen when millions of people get involved, average donors get involved, and work collectively on these big issues. Question 2. What do you think of charitable organizations? Answer. Philanthropy is now flourishing, and throughout our lives we will stumble upon charity organizations and underprivileged people sooner or later. However, I think the new donors are becoming much more businesslike about the way their money is used, and the next generation of technology leaders are already embracing the same ethos there are new types of charitable financing. For example, impact investing, in which the promised return is a philanthropic outcome as well as or instead of a financial one, has boomed in recent years. For instance, Revolution Foods, a company in California, serves healthy lunches in schools in hard-up areas. Needless to say, these organizations have to meet certain standards for do-gooding and provide useful information about their work to gain greater public trust and receive higher donations. Besides, fundraisers have also got better at courting big donors. Firms such as Factory in Britain and Donor Search in America find links between philanthropists and a charity's trustees to help with setting up the crucial first meeting. A steward, a kind of PR officer for high-value donors, keeps them on board by organizing trips to see the charity's work and giving updates on its successes. But just as charities have focused on results, they have sometimes overstepped the mark. Fundraising practices were called into question in Britain after the suicide in 2015 of Olive Cook, a generous charity volunteer and donor. Data sharing among fundraisers meant she was bombarded with begging letters, though it is not thought that these caused her suicide. Her family has said they greatly distressed her. And of course, there are other certain ruses and shenanigans that are harder to pull off. For example, one of the many things exposed by the collapse of Enron was that corporate philanthropy is often pretty sleazy too. A firm's executives can ingratiate themselves with business partners and even with their own board members by supporting their pet causes with funds from the company's charitable foundation without breaking the law. But if the new generation of philanthropists get it right, they can make a real difference to the world. But for that to happen, philanthropy will have to shred the imagerism that still pervades much of it and become a modern, efficient, global industry. The new approach to philanthropy must be more strategic, market-conscious, knowledge-based, high engagement, and always involves maximizing the leverage of the donor's money. This will require a global elite with lots of money, new ideas, cutting-edge business techniques, media and marketing savvy, the mobilization of citizens, and helpful political connections. All this is bound to set alarm bells ringing in some quarters, even as it spreads hope in others. Question 3. Why do people make donations to charity? Or why do people give their money away? Answer. Well, I think there are several reasons to explain good deeds of this kind. The primary motive may be the desire to take advantage of the many tax incentives and other taxes that can make a wealthy person look virtuous at an appealing low cost. America has the most generous treatment of charitable giving, allowing taxpayers to deduct their donations from their taxable income. But donors are also sometimes paid directly for their pains, and the mere thought of a thank you letter can actually be enough to persuade others to cough up. Secondly, some act out of sheer altruism. For example, faced with the world's many and urgent problems, a lot of people are asking themselves, if I can help, why not? Mr. Gates read a World Bank World Development Report and realized he could do something to improve public health in the world's poorest countries. religion also plays a big part in giving. Christians, Jews, Muslims, and Sikhs all traditionally aim to give away a set proportion of their income. Among the super rich of the Muslim world, the Islamic prohibition of things such as alcohol, pork, gambling, and conventional financial services has opened up a role for philanthropy. Those whose portfolios include such activities can purify them by giving the resulting profits away. Next, according to the warm glow theory and neuroscience, donors derive an internal satisfaction from giving, although their contributions and benevolence may be entirely anonymous. Under this theory, donors view the gifts of others as imperfect substitutes of their own contributions. That is, they would prefer that gifts come from themselves rather than from others. Meanwhile, the effective altruism movement, a group of scientifically minded do-gooders, maintain that social science has advanced to the point where it is possible for individuals to do a tangible amount of good, and the good news is that charitable giving is contagious. Seeing others give makes an individual more likely to give, and gentle encouragement from a prominent person in your life can also make a big difference to your donation decisions. But most interestingly is another explanation, which is that people have become so much more open-handed because it makes them look good to those whose opinions they care about, and they can signal their wealth status. At any rate, many people reckon that philanthropists' motives are beside the point. What they give is not important, or never mind the motives. The act of giving and how effectively they give is what matters, and the important thing is to ensure that this largesse is put to good use. In the meantime, prevention is almost certainly always better and cheaper than the cure or rehabilitation. And that is the end of my answer. See you next time.